Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be in the country geographically. My name is Shannon Maluzzo. I'm the Senior Grants Administrator for Voices for Healthy Kids. I'm very happy to have all of you on the call today. We're very excited to be launching this open call for applications. And before we begin, I really just want to take a moment to acknowledge just how hard our work is right now. The pressures are real and the pace can be exhausting. So I just think as a group, let's all just take one collective breath, just a moment to ground ourselves and honor the commitment each of you brings to this effort every single day. So again, thank you for the work that you're doing in our communities. Your advocacy, your persistence, and your compassion really, truly do make a difference. We could not do what we do without each of you. We know that families are facing many challenges across the country. This call is focused on helping families meet a basic human need, access to healthy, affordable food. Rising costs, administrative changes, and policy threats continue to strain the very programs meant to support children and families. At this time, when so many families are feeling less stable and less secure financially, emotionally, and in meeting their basic needs, your work has never been more essential. At Voices for Healthy Kids, our mission is grounded in helping every child thrive, starting where the need is the greatest and with our youngest children. And that's why we are launching this call for proposals to support urgent state and local SNAP advocacy during the 2026 legislative sessions. This is a critical opportunity to strengthen, protect, and expand SNAP so families can reliably access the nutrition they need to grow and learn and live healthy lives. So with that, today we're going to be going over the application requirements, the online grant management system, and then my colleague Katie Bishop-Kendrick, our National Senior Advocacy Consultant for Voices for Healthy Kids, will be going over the policy areas the funding's aiming to support. So we're really glad that all of you could join us today to be here to learn more about what we're looking for in this really time-sensitive, critical space. I will say that we are hoping to launch an open call for applications in a couple of months for the 2027 session. We've gotten some asks about getting prepared for next year's session. So we are hoping to be able to do that in a couple of months. But right now we're looking at what's happening today for families and children in this session and how can we protect the SNAP benefits that many of them rely on. My colleague Dolly Batista is on the phone and she's going to be popping in some links, and she will help flag if there's any questions on the call. You can pop those in there, and if I don't get to them as we're going, we'll have a couple minutes at the end. So you should all be able to see my website, the website. Yes?
Yep, we can see it, Shannon.
Okay, great, thank you. I have 3 screens and sometimes I lose what I'm doing underneath other things. Okay, so I am happy to be able to talk to you about our call for applications and how to find all of our resources and apply. So on our website is, this is our website, and over under campaign resources is grant opportunities. And here is where you'll find all of the information that you need to decide if you would be able to and ready to apply for funding. There's the first little tab here is the rapid response funding for SNAP policy. There's a couple other pieces here, and then I'm going to jump down to eligibility because this is really important to be able to ensure that your organization is eligible to apply for funds from Voices for Healthy Kids. So to be eligible, organizations must have a tax-exempt status under the IRS code 501c3. You could be a 501c3, 501c4, or have a fiscal sponsor that's a 501c3. So that is that organization there. We're not able to fund private foundations and schools, things like that. So those are the grant requirements. Also, organizations must have the ability to lobby. And if you're not sure on that, you would need to talk to your legal counsel. But under the 501c3 laws, there are public charities are able to lobby. So you'll need to check on that. And those are our eligibility. Okay, let me make this a little bigger because I'm going to assume that it might be tiny for you guys. Okay, so we are looking for applications to support improving SNAP administration for families, developing SNAP funding strategies, and if you happen to be in a state that is considering opting out of SNAP, that would also be an option. And Katie's going to go into more depth in this in a little bit. Why act now? I think we all know, we just covered that. Here are the funding details. So these grants are intended for like tactical advocacy efforts, not general operating support, not overall salary support. The expected application range would be $10,000 to $50,000. We have very limited funding, but we are trying to get the funds out to organizations quickly. So think about what you need and apply for that within those parameters. And those can be for things like lobbyists, consultants, advocacy tactics for grassroots mobilization, communications campaigns, things like that. There is a short form in the online grant management system that I will show you. Our deadline is going to be every Monday starting next week. So every Monday we will pull applications and we will do a review. It will take about 2 weeks to get a response, maybe a little longer depending on how many come in. But our goal is these are going to be rapid. So we're going to review them, award, review, and award until the funds have been depleted. So you may hear within 2 weeks, you may hear a little bit longer, but we'll be as communicative as we can to let you know where we are in the process once applications are in the review. Once awarded, if you are awarded a grant, you will need to sign an award agreement, complete a supplier portal, and if all of that happens, our payments are released on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So within a week of those happening, that those funds will be released to you. We know that the time is needed to get these quickly. You're on the office hour. We'll post the recording there. So we're really looking to fund coordinated public policy advocacy campaigns. So those are campaigns that are looking to have a policy change, policies maintained if someone is trying to change the policy, and also some administrative actions. Again, Katie will go into those a little bit more. We're looking for communities experiencing the greatest needs, which are our SNAP recipients. We like science-driven, people-first approach, and we really love collaboration because we find with true collaboration across organizations and advocates, we really can make change. We do not, this funding is geared towards those policy changes. So it's not geared towards regional grants, multi-location, or multi-issue area. It's going to be very specific and succinct. And we are not able to fund programmatic or purchasing, so purchasing of food or anything like that for this. We have provided the application template here in Word, and you can easily download that and work collaboratively offline and then upload it into the system. Any questions so far? I can't get to the chat. I'll come back to questions if I can find them.
No questions right now.
Okay. Thanks, Dolly. Okay, so our online grant management system is Flux. This is your login page. You will create an account here if you do not already have one. You will use the sign in on this side of the page once you get your username and password. I will tell you that if you create an account and you're like, hey, I didn't get an email, check your junk or filters or whatever you have in your system because it likes to go there. But you will get your username, which is your email, and your password. And so you'll use those to log in. If you don't get that email within like 20 minutes or so, you can pretty much just use this forgot password and gain access that way. And you can always email voicesforhealthykids@heart.org if you have any questions or issues with your login. So once you've signed into the system, up top here, there's the Nutrition Rapid Response landing page. And when you click on that, you can see that there is all of the information. It mimics the website. So it has all of the information here available. It also has those templates, so you can download the template. And when you want to start and ready to start your new grant application, you click on New Grant Request at the bottom. And then here is your application. So we tried to make this as short and simple as possible for you all, because we know that you're in session, you're very busy, and it's hard to take a minute to complete a grant application. So there is just a few sections in here with some drop-down questions and others, and then the application narrative. And it does say, please provide a brief response up to 5 paragraphs to address the prompts. We're serious, 5 paragraphs. Keep it simple. Let us know exactly what's going on and what you're going to take action on. So what is your action to address the SNAP policy that you've identified to be working on? The budget, I also work to make very simple for you. So really, we just need to know the total non-lobbying, the total lobbying, and then what is that total request. So I know it's a little redundant to have it auto-populate here, but then you do have to type in what you're actually requesting. So if it's 25,000, I will make sure that that's adding up. So that should add up. And then you would just type in 25,000 there, and then just a brief narrative of what you'll be using the dollars for. Little information about your lobbying experience as an organization. And then other funds to support this campaign is really just to let us know, like, hey, our organization is putting in $50,000 of our budget, and we have 2 coalition partners that are also contributing some of their budget and doing some of the tactics. So if you have funds from other sources, maybe a coalition partner is paying for the ads, then you could put in here that their contribution is $10,000 for paying for ads. You can upload any documents to this one here is just a sample, but this is the lead organization. You need to upload your 501c3 and then your most recent IRS 990. And then just if you agree to the website. That is as simple as it is. And I am just, I think I can, if I save and close it. So if I go in and I start to enter anything, this is honestly where people get a little hung up. Where does that application go? So if you log back in and you want to go to the application that you've already started, you go over here to draft applications. You can see I have a couple in here as training ones that I was working on. So when you click on draft applications, then you click on the application that you'd like to continue working on and then edit in the top right-hand corner. This is where I need you all to listen. It doesn't always show up if you're not in Chrome. I don't know why it doesn't like other systems, but this system likes Chrome. So please make sure you're in Chrome as your browser. And when you get up here, you should be able to click edit and then go in and continue to work on your application. And when you're all done, save and close, and you'll be able to submit. The other thing is, please make sure that when you click submit, you wait a second. Because if there's anything missing in your application, like all of that, because I didn't fill it out, I was just showing you, it didn't submit. So if there's one of the required questions missing and you didn't complete it and you hit submit and close your browser, you're not going to know that it didn't submit. You will get an automated email saying that it was successfully submitted, but if it doesn't go through, you won't know and you might miss that weekly deadline. So please make sure you stay in the browser. And that is the part that I wanted to cover, just over the requirements of the grant, what we're looking for as far as tactics and amounts, organization eligibility, and then our online system. You may submit and actually have the application sent back to you. If we're looking for some additional information on the application, or we want some clarity on what your specific tactics are, your application will get sent back to you. You will get an automated email. And then over here in the left-hand side, there's a couple different application links. And one of them is applications requiring edits. So that is where the application will be if it's sent back for more information. And you'll be able to edit and resubmit. I might have not seen a question coming. So clarify regional work for funding. So we are not able to fund like multi-state or multi regions for funds. If you're doing advocacy and lobbying during the 26th session to inform, it's really for immediate policy changes in this session. We will be having hopefully another call for applications open up to prepare for the next session. The Word doc link is right on our website. I will try and get that into the chat as well. So Katie's going to talk about tax campaigns that would raise revenue. A successful ideal proposal. So yeah, Katie will talk about this a little bit more. So making sure that everything is completed, making sure that your organization is eligible under the requirements, and then being just very clear on what the legislative or administrative action is that you're pursuing and how you are looking to make that happen. And Katie will talk a little bit more about that. Funds will be dispersed once awarded within a week, as long as we get all the pieces on from your end as far as payment. If we do this fund in March, yes, we are hoping to have all of our funds awarded by the end of February. So March is fine. Erica Forsyth, I'm not understanding. I think maybe I clarified that. The application is the dollars that you would use from us, and then what would your organization be contributing, and then funds from other, that's the matched funds, and funds from other sources is from other organizations if they're paying for ads or maybe they're paying for the lobbyist. So no, we're trying not to fund staff time, but we are funding contract lobbyists. If you're registered lobbyists and do much of your own lobbying, it would just depend on the amount. So we're trying not to just be covering full salaries, but be covering those tactics. A statewide organization is absolutely eligible if you're working on a statewide legislative piece. And yes, they can be local policies as well. We're really trying to focus just the funding on this session. And again, we'll have additional calls for applications for future sessions coming up. And I think now I'm going to turn it over to Katie to talk about the issue areas.
Yeah, and just on a couple of those questions. So one of the things I was asked is, could the tax be used towards a SNAP incentive program? Right now, with this specific call for applications, we're just talking about things that would support the broader SNAP program. But with that call for applications in the spring that Shannon mentioned, it's possible that that could be part of that campaign. And then because these are specifically focused on efforts to try to address SNAP error rate or be raising revenue for SNAP, those would actually be state level campaigns. And then just, as all of you on this call know, this is such a pivotal year for SNAP in states as they're navigating this new landscape because of the changes of HR 1. And so this grant opportunity is really to try to help states as they're trying to navigate their payment error rates and taking on that increased cost of SNAP. And so, as Shannon mentioned, with this opportunity, organizations can apply for $10,000 to $50,000 in very targeted advocacy campaigns around two main areas. So one is to improve SNAP administration for families, and then the other one is around raising revenues for SNAP. And so with that first opportunity, these could be legislative campaigns or they could be administrative campaigns. So we do know that in some states, sometimes having a really quiet campaign directly targeted to the agency is going to be what helps you to make the policy changes, and that's okay for this application. So we are allowing both. And another really important thing with the SNAP administration piece is we do want to make sure that the policies or the approaches that are being funded through this rapid response application are ones that would address state payment errors while also protecting access for families. So there are things that states could do that wouldn't be supportive of SNAP participants, and we want to make sure that the policies that they are pursuing to address error rates are ones that would be supportive of families. So a couple of examples are these, it could be things like removing the SNAP asset limit, which causes families to need to spend down their savings before they're able to participate. And it's also time intensive for the state agencies to verify those. Or things like simplifying applications and recertification processes. So, this could include shortening forms, reducing documentation requirements, or aligning SNAP with other programs. And of course, every state is very different. So different factors are going to be driving those error rates. And so, your application could include things like what I just mentioned, but it could be very different things based on, what approaches are going to work best in your state. And so then for the other option around developing sustainable SNAP funding strategies, so this would be trying to increase revenue in your state through things like sugary drink taxes or tobacco taxes that would then be going to support those additional costs that states are going to be needing to pick up to be able to continue to participate in SNAP. And so these should be very focused efforts on being able to continue to deliver SNAP effectively in states. For any states where your state is discussing possibly opting out of the SNAP program, please reach out to us if that is a reality for you, because we do want to figure out if we can support you in trying to make sure that your state continues to participate in SNAP. So if that is a reality for you, then please reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation to hear a little bit more about what's happening on the ground and explore how we would be able to help support you. So this funding is really meant to help you respond quickly to some of these new pressures that are being put on states, and to ensure that families continue to have access to healthy, affordable food. And so Shannon, I know we have some questions that have come in, so I'll look over those, but I'll turn it back to you while I'm looking at those.
Great. And I'll try and clarify. I know there's been a couple of questions about the salary piece. So we have funded campaigns in the past, which then they've used for much bigger year and a half long campaigns where they've used the funding to hire staff. We don't want to prevent the expedience of these dollars going out the door to help if you're taking time to hire staff. If you have staff on hand and you need support to reallocate workload or to do some of those pieces, we just are making the assumption that you already have staff hired, full-time staff that are working on this work, and that you need some additional dollars to keep the work forward. If you have a different case, you can email me and we can talk about that separately, but we really want to make sure that these dollars are moving out our doors quickly to the hands of organizations that are already working on the issues and need some additional dollars to keep it going. I hope that's clear. This one might be for you, Katie. The state administration funding is working on the state administration funding and eligible.
Yeah, so if the state needed to have additional resources to be able to process applications or those sorts of things, yes, that would be eligible.
And the
I
SSD
see
tax
Gina.
one as well.
Oh, Gina, you're on mute right now.
No, my question is, so all states now need to cover their state like 75% of their state administrative dollars, right? So if that is what we're asking for, because we, like Utah, for example, we're going into this session $500 million short on our expected revenues. So we need $13 million to continue our SNAP program. Is advocating, lobbying for that additional state administrative dollars that all states now need, is that eligible?
So I think we'd have to just go back and double check that, because right now we were talking about error rates and raising new revenue, but you're just talking about using existing resources in the state and trying to have them go towards.
No, these are new resources. This is like in New Hampshire, it's existential for the SNAP program. If we don't come up with the additional administrative dollars,
right, exactly.
Program.
Yeah. So I understand that you need to have you need to have new revenue going towards the program, but I guess the new revenue that we were talking about is like raising a tax
Oh,
like
yeah.
so we just have
Right.
to go back and clarify if that's going to be
Right.
one of
So
the
just
eligible.
generally, I mean, we're competing with other new funding needs in our state. And frankly, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think our session is already underway. It's 45 calendar days and they only work Monday through Friday. So we've got this like like all state advocates are freaking out about this. So we have to compete with other needs in the state for that $13 million. And, I think every state now is considering walking away from the SNAP program. And like our appropriations meeting is this Thursday. Like, so, we'll have till the end of the session to secure that funding. But yeah, I mean, before we put the effort into the application, is that a fundable activity?
Yeah, so in those cases where there really is a chance that the state would walk away from participating in the program, then reach out to that email address and we'll have a conversation with you and talk with you about if it would be eligible. But it's in those cases where the state would be potentially walking away from the program.
Any other questions? And then local SSB tax campaigns, are those eligible, Katie?
So I don't think that they wouldn't be eligible because we're trying to fund at the state level unless, because I don't see the mechanism of the revenue being raised at the local level and then being passed up to the state level. But if your state works in a way where it would allow that, then reach out to that same email address and I'd be happy to talk with you.
Definitely hard sometimes to have a one size fits all for 50 states and as many communities that you can imagine in each of those states. So feel free to reach out to us. I know time is valuable, but we will get right back to you and try and get you in touch, likely with Katie or I, and we will coordinate a quick call just to talk that through. I just popped the email back into the chat. You can reach out that way. Again, we're thankful for each and every one of you. We're thankful for all the hard work that you do on a daily basis. And we're hoping that we'll be able to support some great organizations across the country. I do want to note that our funding is limited and we'll support as many organizations as we can. But Voices for Healthy Kids and the National Collaborative for Infants and Toddlers that we work very closely with is a great resource for all kinds of different consultation and different information. So you can reach out. If you go to our website, you could take a look at that information and also just email the email and with a question and we can try and link you up with one of our team members. The applications for next year, I'm hopeful would open in March. Get through this call for applications and towards the end of March, we're hoping to open another call. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I thank you for your time and we look forward to seeing many great applications and as many good questions coming in so that we can connect you with some additional resources. Thank you.